I'm Rob Wheely, and I'm the CEO of Alloy Wheel Repair Specialists. We're the world's largest provider of wheel refinishing, remanufacturing, and wheel replacement. My dad was a car enthusiast, always working on cars of his own and new projects. That passed down to me, and it still grows with me today. Wheels have become the jewelry of the car. People want their wheels to look nice. We provide basic refinishing of wheels. We have remanufacturing facilities that provide extensive repair. We also have put all of our processes through an independent facility that's accredited. You can find those certifications on our website.
Capital Subaru, we value your time, whether you're here for service or working with our amazing sales team. Everything is right here for your convenience. We offer a great selection of Subarus, an industry-leading service center that keeps you moving, and so much more. Like our living green wall, just one of the many features throughout our dealership. Looking for the perfect pet gift? Check out Happy Paws Pet Shop right here in our lobby. Or plan your next adventure in our fireside seating and find your happy place. It's always your time at Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Hello everybody, welcome into the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series live in race 2 of the round of 12 for the playoffs here at Talladega Superspeedway. Drivers getting ready to get rolling, and we are about to get the party started here at one of the fastest tracks, if not the fastest track in all of stock car racing. Appreciate everybody tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. Let's head right down trackside and get started with your starting grid here tonight. How about your pole sitter, Richard Elliott, going to take his first pole of the season and runs an absolute heater of a lap at a 53.045. Has the setup on rails tonight, and we'll see if Richard Elliott could pull in his first win of the season tonight at a track that, don't forget, JBR E-Racing is very, very good at. Starting second on the outside is going to be Brandon Bikey, the rookie. Back in third will be our first playoff driver in the field tonight. It's Jeff Marble. He's going to have his teammate Tyler Marble to his outside in fourth. Back in fifth, it's going to be Jacob Musso, Austin Fitzgerald to his outside in sixth. Row 4 is going to be Jared Bundy and Alan Pajari. Row 5 is going to be Joshua Watson, last week's winner, most wins on the season at 12, and to his outside, another great qualifying effort for this driver here, Todd Shiro. He will be rounding out your top 10 here tonight. Adrian Watts will start from the 11th spot. Brian Conklin to his outside in 12th. Going to be Bill Benedict in 14th with Cody Matthews, in 13th with Cody Matthews in 14th. Scott Glasso will start back in 15th. Andrew Niedert in 16th. Brian Curry making up that 17th spot. He'll have Kyle Oakley to his outside in 18th. And it's going to be Jeffrey Souza and Sean Kaltenbach rounding out your top 20 here tonight. Jeff Shutt, Cody Richardson make up row 11. Glenn Grigsby and Andrew Kotska behind them making up row 12. Dave Sanders in 25th. Danny Gutierrez in 26th. Johnny McCulchuk back in 27th. Thomas O'Hara in 28th. Andrew Russo in 29th, and Christopher Hall rounding out your top 30. And for some reason, iRacing, as always, does the grid backwards, and I think sometimes it gets me a little mixed up. Looking at your race info, though, tonight, it's the Talladega Fall 250 for the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. Talked about it. Second race in the round of 12 here for the playoffs. 94 laps here tonight. Everybody's going to have 100% fuel. No fast repairs, and Talladega is one of the tracks where guys get a little bit more scared when they see that statistic. Always fearing the ever-looming big one, which is going to strike sooner or later here tonight. 4 sets of tires, no fast repairs. We already noted that. Open setups as always. 3 green-white checkers. Track temp going to be 111 degrees. Weather outside 85, 86 degrees. Actually, perfect weather for a 250-mile affair at Talladega Superspeedway. Got a couple onboards here tonight. Johnny McCulchuk, Kyle Oakley, and the 2 Team Marvel iRacing drivers. We'll talk some more on them later. But into the restart zone we go. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at Talladega. And it is going to be Jeff Marble leading the first lap around Talladega here tonight. Currently lined up on the outside. You see he was able to get with his teammate Tyler Marble pretty quickly. And we'll see how well that outside line rolls. Last time we were at a Superspeedway, of course, Daytona for the night race, seemed like the outside had kind of struggled throughout the night. But I think here with a little bit of a hotter track temp at Talladega, as long as you got the right guys with you, you're really going to make that top line work. Richard Elliott, though, still holding strong on the bottom. He's got the rookie Brandon Bikey behind, and they're going to surge out a little bit here as they tandem up. On the back bumper goes to 13. Behind these guys, no 3 wide yet, as now it looks like Jeff's going to split to the middle. Tyler forced to go high, trying to let his teammate back in. Things get a little hairy as Alan Pajari's now stuck in the middle. This is going to put Austin Fitzgerald on the outside line. And they're all trying to sort it out. Now Todd Shiro's the odd one out. He's going to try to tuck in line here, either behind Conklin, or is it going to put Conklin in the sucker hole as you see him falling back? And that was a little bit disastrous there, or almost disastrous for Team Marble iRacing. You can see it killed the momentum on that outside line. Doesn't look like guys want to wait too long, though, to get right back into the mix. Here goes to the outside. A couple of drivers looks like going to be led here by Joshua Watson in the 0-1. No surprise to see him trying to show speed early, and he's getting some help. A push from his teammate Adrian Watts. The two Team Marble iRacing guys stuck on the top, Jeff and Tyler. A lot wider here at Talladega than it is at Daytona, and that's why you can see even when they're 3 wide, still plenty of room to work with, but it does make you tense up just a little bit more. So these guys are racing really, really aggressive early on. Watson got the win last week at Texas. Said the goal this week was going to be to help a teammate out, help a teammate try to make it into the next round of the playoffs. And while we still have time to talk about what the standings are looking like coming in here tonight, remember, Talladega is not the last race here in the round of 12. Going to head to the Charlotte Roval next week. That will be an elimination race. But I think if you asked any one of these guys in the field, they can tell you that they don't know what's going to happen there. So they want to get the job done here. Joshua Watson, his goal here tonight is going to be to help Danny Gutierrez in that 08 car. Try to see if he can help push him to a win. See if they can't lock both of those drivers into the next round. Bad news right now for Danny Gutierrez, currently sitting in last place. Had potentially the fastest car towards the end of last week. Unfortunately, fell apart a little bit at the end with just a slight bit of a mistake. Didn't get the finish he wanted, but he did gather himself a lot of points. So he comes in here tonight above the cut line. But not sure if Danny's necessarily a road course racer. He's definitely a super speedway racer. Saw him get the win at Daytona to kick off the season. And I look to see him go back-to-back. I think that's a little strategy play by him being where he is in the field right now. Going to sit back, let these guys continue to race aggressive. Maybe pile him up a couple times here throughout the race, and he'll strike later on when it matters most. Fuel for these guys tonight going to hover right around 40 laps, probably a couple laps less. And I think you'll see everybody run it out, at least for this first run. Going to be 2 stops from what it's scheduled so far. Wow, big stack up on the outside. But you can see Richard Elliott, another one of those JBR racing teammates. He jumped right up in front of Joshua Watson, and look at the run. They're carrying more chemistry than the rest of the field as Watson is able to stick to the back bumper of Richard Elliott all the way through the middle of turns 1 and 2. And he gets him clear by 2, almost 3 car lengths. We'll see if those 2 teammates drop down. It's narrowed down to 4 cars on the outside. And if you're Richard Elliott, do you feel more comfortable staying up top with your teammate, or do you start thinking about trying to control the lanes here only on lap 6? He's going to stay up top for now. Joshua Watson will be able to push for probably a couple laps. The next gens don't get hot quite as quick as the Xfinity and trucks do, and they're a lot easier to cool down. You just got to back off the bumper for maybe half a lap or so, and you're good to start pushing really aggressive again. But again, everybody's on custom setups, so they can adjust some things that you can't in fixed setups, and they may have these taped out, whatever they want to do to get them set up where they don't overheat nearly as quick. And it's probably ironic that I said taped out there, because I don't think these guys can put tape on the next gens anymore. Used to be able to on the Gen 6. Seeing a lot of wide open grills here tonight. Austin Fitzgerald in the 74 currently sits in that 5th place position. Had another fast run last week at Texas. And right now he said he loves Talladega. He likes staying at the front. Said he feels like that's the winning strategy. Get caught in the back. It's too easy to get caught in a wreck, so he wants to stay at the front for this entire race. Right now he sits in 5th, and he's going to try to follow his teammate down to the bottom. Couldn't quite do it as you saw the gap close up, but that opens it up now to Alan Pajari. He's going to get a push here from the 6 of Jared Bundy. A lot of tracks. Spotters, maybe not the most important thing to have. Talladega one of the tracks where you certainly want to have a spotter if you have the luxury of doing so. Jared Bundy, one of the guys that has a spotter, I believe, every week. And assuming he's got his tonight, going to see why he needs one right here. All he can focus on is the back bumper of Alan Pajari. At the same time, though, as he's focused on doing this, you take a look out of the right side of his window, right rear rather, and he's going to have a big run on the outside. Richard Elliott now right next to his door. He's got to make sure he holds a nice steady wheel spotter, calling out when the guys on the outside have a run, when they're next to him, and what the car behind him's doing. You saw that big surge from Richard Elliott. It looked like a train coming through. I mean, it's crazy to me the amount of momentum that can get stirred up from just two cars when you really commit to that tandem push. We saw it at Daytona a little bit towards the end, and guys start to get a little bit more risky with how long they push. But you saw Joshua Watson, not afraid early, has been pushing his teammate through the corner when he's needed to, and it's been working really, really well on the bottom. Jared Bundy backed off just a little bit there off of Alan Pajari. Now he's trying to get locked back on. But you can see those two cars aren't lining up too well. Different noses there on the Chevys from what you see on the Fords, maybe just slightly more pointed. And you got to wonder, is that maybe hurting the inside just a little bit? You wouldn't think so when you saw how good of a job Joshua Watson's doing on the outside. But here comes Team Marble iRacing, being led by Jeff Marble in that third lane. They're going to get a couple helpers too. Jeff Shutt on the outside, and there's Brian Conklin in the 37. One of the drivers that is currently in the round of 12, but outside looking in reference to the round of 8. He's going to need a great run here tonight. And by the way, as per last round for this round of 16, taking a look on your scoring tower, any driver that has a P on the right side of their name is currently one of the playoff drivers. It was 16 2 weeks ago. And then last week we narrowed it down to 12. 12 tonight, 12 next week. And then after that, we're going to narrow it down to 8 for 3 more races. And to round it all out, it's going to be the round of 4, the championship 4 rather. And normally I would say we have a favorite. And I mean, obviously Joshua Watson with the most wins over anybody else by over 4 times. But you see the guys that show stints of speed at times where maybe Watson's lacking a little bit. Look at Austin Fitzgerald. Another guy that I've been watching, not necessarily tonight, but throughout the entirety of the playoffs so far, has been Cody Richardson. I feel like he's kind of been a sleeper pick in the sense of he's had the speed, but you haven't seen it as much as what we're used to seeing from the 46 the last couple weeks. But he does have 2 wins on the season. He's got a rockin' paint scheme here tonight, the Wonder Bread car. And we'll see if tonight's his night. He is in this second little pack, just playing it safe right now because they see all the mayhem up front. Still 3 wide as the 0-2 controlling the top. Jeff Marble and Tyler Marble going to get clear to the middle, and they're going to drop all the way to the bottom. Maybe no. They're going to hold it to the middle here. Jeff's actually trying to get a side draft off that 0-3 machine of Adrian Watts. Watts has not been here the last couple weeks. He was in that battle for the non-playoff driver championship. But since he's missed a couple weeks, he has fallen all the way back to 7th. 65 points. Thomas O'Hara, who's leading it, is at 81. So we'll see if somehow he can find a way to get back in that battle before the end of the season. Maybe have a chance to win some money, even though he's not a playoff driver. Going to the control room here, taking a look at some of the driver cams here tonight. Start first with Jeff Marble currently running in 7th. And look how steady of a wheel he holds. A lot of times you see guys getting loose, having to work that wheel a lot. Opposite here at Talladega, you do not want to be working that wheel much at all. Holds a nice steady line down into the corner, and he's getting a big, big push right now from his teammate Tyler Marble. And if we compare the side-by-side here, you can see the chemistry. Tyler able to get really close to his dad through the corner. Doesn't quite push him right now. Now on the straightaway, it's a little different, but I think, again, just testing the waters. You can see when the cars actually can kind of get sucked up. Once they get locked on, such as right here, Marble's able to stay to the back bumper. That's where they start to make some time back up. But in the corner here, he falls off just a little bit for now, playing a little bit conservative. As the race goes on, you're going to see that fade off. Tyler's going to continue to push the downs more and more to see just how much he can push that 15 car. Still side by side here, 13 laps in. What was the second pack has now caught back up, and they have split to fill up both lanes. Looking at the track map, Christopher Hall, one of the non-playoff drivers making a run here tonight, he's got heavy damage. And where did this occur for the 38? Not sure where he got all this damage from. We don't have any data on any issues, but clearly he had a pretty major issue. And taking a look, he started in 30th here tonight, so I'm just not sure how he got all that damage. It may have been something either on the restart or one of the early checkups that we experienced. But he's hoping for a caution right now. He'll be in danger of going a lap down before this race is over if we don't get a caution pretty soon. As you saw the rest of the field working their way down the backstretch. Talladega opened way back, I believe it was maybe in the 1960s. 2.65 mile Superspeedway. Heavy banking in the corners, over 30 degrees. And the best way to see it is through the gyro cam. But guys able to go flat out through here. The only guys you'll hear lifting is the guys that are either trying to save fuel or maybe just burping the gas here and there to stay off the back bumper. But one of the two tracks that we head to throughout the season here in Daytona, where the name of the game is draft and just about anybody has a chance to win as long as you have some teammates backing you up. And right now, that outside line is currently being made up of 4 JBR E-Racing drivers. Danny Gutierrez, when in the world did he get up here? Went from last to first here in just the first 15 laps. And that is going to be a very hard outside line to beat. The only thing that I feel like maybe JBR E-Racing needs to figure out is how are they going to get everybody down to the bottom when it's time for pit stops. Still looking at probably about 25 laps, a couple laps sooner before you have to start thinking about it. But Jeff Marble and Tyler Marble, if they can hold, they're not going to give it up too easy. Jeff Shutt just behind the two Team Marble iRacing drivers. Still in the playoffs, making a run. His teammate was with them in the round of 16. Unfortunately, though, Johnny McCulchuk not quite able to advance to the round of 12. Jeff Shutt trying to hold down the fort for No Excuses Racing, seeing if he can maybe go fight for a championship and also fight for a win here tonight. On the flip side of that, his teammate, Johnny McCulchuk, looking to see if he can still get his first win on the season. Currently back in 22nd, and one of the guys carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight. There he is in the cockpit of the number 72, and he is in half a chassis of a real race car. If you're wondering why it looks like there's roll bars around him, it's because there is. And the 72 right now is up 4 from where he started. Johnny McCulchuk going in the positive direction. But back up front, it is still all Richard Elliott leading. Oh, big wobble there from Jeff Marble. Teammate gets out of it, but this is going to cause a major stack up. Everybody bailing out of the throttle, trying to miss the guy in front of him. That's going to put Alan Pajari in a bad position as he's going to have to go all the way to the back, so he gets split down the middle. Brian Curry's going to go by Austin Fitzgerald, nowhere in position to pick him up, at least not yet. Now you see his teammate jump down to the bottom. Fitzgerald is going to find a way to help Fitzgerald out right here. To help Pajari out right here. You can see them stall out the 72 as Pajari got a big side draft on the left rear of Johnny McCulchuk. And now they're starting to surge forward. And I think Pajari's going to have to probably stay in the middle here, at least until he can help his teammate Fitzgerald get back in line. But further back, that is the 10 of Cody Matthews, who kind of got maybe bullied up a little bit right there. Fitzgerald said, I need to get back in line. And you know what? How about this? We talked about earlier, Cody Richardson was running the Wonder Bread car. And we can't forget in real life, we saw the two matching paint schemes. And so Ryan Priest was Wonder Bread. But then we also, just behind him, reference to Ricky Bobby, Andrew Kotska. Does he have the old Spice car? Sure enough, he does. Those two are teammates, of course, two of the Mad Sim Racing drivers. Kotska, another driver still in the playoffs right now. And he is currently the last running playoff driver in the field here tonight. Oh, we got a wreck. One car around, two on the backstretch. They're all going to pile up. It's going to be the big one here early at Dega. Bundy slides into the inside wall. Further back, looks like Alan Pajari's in it. Johnny McCulchuk sliding backwards is Thomas O'Hara. There's Andrew Niedert. First caution of the night falls on lap 18, and this could have some playoff implications depending on who all this one collects. Everybody getting back rolling now. Pajari, you see he's got some right front damage. Jared Bundy, the hood looks to be crumpled a little bit. Let's go back and take a look at where everything starts here. Looks like Jacob Musso may have been the first car out of line. Taking a look from the chopper view. Ooh, it's a stack up front. We've been seeing a couple of these since the race started. And is it just, yeah, watch the JBR teammates get a little offset right here off the corner. You see Elliott get really high. Joshua Watson trying to line up with him, gets him a little offset, so he has to bail out of the throttle. That causes Adrian Watts, Danny Gutierrez to bail out of the throttle. You can see the chain reaction get all the way back to Jacob Musso and Kyle Oakley. And Musso tried to check up. And watch that one more time. When Musso tries to check up here, Oakley taps him in the left rear, sends Musso around. And we'll pause that, show you a little bit slower, trying to get a better angle of it. And once Musso gets sent around, I mean, it's on from there. Coming down the track here. Everybody trying to dive low to miss it. Oh, man, Tyler Marble just missed it. Fortunately for Jeff Shutt, not so lucky. He gets sent down, tank slapper into the inside wall. And then back up the track, Thomas O'Hara, Sean Kaltenbach, Alan Pajari. There's Jared Bundy down low. Take a couple more views of this one. And back up, you see the flaps opening on a couple guys. I think the worst out of this one is maybe going to be one of the guys that hit the inside wall. A couple drivers that went back up the track. No hits that look like it's going to necessarily end anybody's night, but you certainly don't want to have damage at a super speedway track. It affects you a lot more than it does at a lot of other places. Take a ride on board here with Alan Pajari involved in this first caution here of the night. So everybody gets back rolling. Didn't see anybody have to pay a tow bill. The question is going to be who's all able to get back on the track before they go a lap down. And that looked to be about a 7 to 10 car incident. Meanwhile, up front, out of the pits, this is the first stop of the night for everybody. And it's now going to make this race a one-stopper from here. Still would expect a green flag pit stop, though, assuming we make it that far. Joshua Watson, though, did win the race out of the pits. He's up 8 from where he started. Danny Gutierrez currently being scored in second. Jeff Marble third. Tyler Marble back in fourth. Richard Elliott in fifth. Going to be Brian Conklin in sixth. Brandon Bikey seventh. Adrian Watts in eighth. Kyle Oakley in ninth. And Cody Richardson currently rounding out your top 10. Caution comes out here in the first 20 laps of the race. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back at Talladega. Stick with us. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway for the Talladega Fall 250. the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series playoffs presented by the Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist. Getting ready for the green flag to fly back in the air after wrapping up the first caution here tonight. It's going to be teammates Watson and Gutierrez in row 1. 2 teammates in row 2, but it's an opposite team. Team Marvel iRacing. Green flag back in the air. 21 laps complete. 74 to go here at Talladega. Make it 73 now as we cross the line. Good jump for that outside line. Did a pretty good job of holding off, but I think we're going to see a little coordination. Never mind, we're going to wreck. Out back, Souza goes around, and a couple more are going to pile in. Caution back in the air. Musso slides in. Looks like the 88 of Andrew Russo's in it. And Nieder in the grass trying to get that thing back going. He may have some suspension troubles. He's going to try to back it up. Kaltenbach in this one as well. And the rough night for Team Watson Racing is going to continue. This looked like one of the classic restart checkups. Normally we'd see it a little bit earlier, but man, another big stack up. You got to wonder, did somebody miss a gear at some point here? See if we can find where it starts, maybe right on board. This is a look. Actually, we'll go to the TV cam. This is from the spotter stand. And watch for the big checkup here. It's going to start in the outside line, somewhere from your top 5. You see Conklin get to the back bumper of Tyler Marble. That's where the big checkup starts. Not sure if Conklin threw on the brakes, if Tyler missed a shift, or if Brian missed a shift. But then you see it just translate out back. Once it gets back to Souza and Russo, they get together. So Russo makes contact with the back bumper of Jeffrey Souza. And then around a couple of these guys are going to go, just know where to go. See the 88 takes a pretty big hit into that outside wall, and then Sean Kaltenbach coming down. Oh, didn't even see it initially, but Fitzgerald got collected in that one, and he does have front end damage. I don't think Jeffrey necessarily got it too bad. But this definitely hurt some of the drivers that had some damage in that last wreck. And you see Nieder was trying everything to sneak by, but just couldn't quite do it as Sean Kaltenbach came flying down the track. And this is going to be a result. I'm thinking of when he hits the wall. Watch this. You see him get up top, and man, just nothing you can do as a driver. Everybody's trying to steer to get through and get around it. But let's go up front here to, let's start with Tyler Marble to see if we can get anything from this perspective. Not sure if he checks up or if it was Conklin that actually had the check. Let's watch Conklin first. And this was actually after the fact, so we'll back this up a little bit more. It's just honestly looks like a checkup. Doesn't look to me like anybody really misses a gear. He got to the back bumper of Tyler Marble, and I think he felt like he was going to slam him a little bit too hard. You see Tyler, I mean, he shifts perfect, yeah, so nobody misses a shift. It's just a checkup. So as we go back live up front, Joshua Watson still being scored your leader. I don't think any of the leaders are probably going to come back down here. Wouldn't make too much sense based off the strategy these guys are putting. But if you're in the back half of the field, I think it's definitely worth coming down, taking some more fuel. And you don't usually need tires too much here at Talladega. So if you didn't take any on the last stop, maybe go ahead and throw some on right here if you're in the back. So Gutierrez in second, Jeff Marble in third, Tyler Marble back in fourth, Richard Elliott in fifth, Brian Conklin in 6th, Brandon Bikey 7th, Kyle Oakley in 8th, Adrian Watson 9th, Cody Richardson rounding out your top 10. Let's go through the rest of your running order right now since we got the time to do it. Bill Benedict back in 11th, Andrew Kotska in 12th, Scott Glasso in 13th. It's Dave Sanders back in 14th, Johnny McCallchuk in 15th, Thomas O'Hara in 16th, Jared Bundy in 17th, Christopher Hall in 18th, Jacob Musso 19th, currently off the track, Austin Fitzgerald in 20th, he is off track as well, and I think so is the rest of the guys I'm about to name. Todd Shiro talked about in 21st, Andrew Nieder 22nd, Jeffrey Souza in 23rd, Sean Kaltenbach 24th, Jeff Shutt 25th, Andrew Russo in 26th, Alan Pajari currently being scored in 27th, Glenn Grigsby in 28th, Cody Matthews 29th, and Brian Curry rounding out your top 30. So it does look like everybody's still here, at least for now, but we are starting to slowly tally up the damage bill for everybody here tonight. More cars getting involved in a wreck. We saw, I don't know if I would say it was the big one. It certainly looked like it at first on that first caution. And then a second caution here collects probably about another 7 to 10 cars. Not everybody with major damage, but when you don't have a fast repair, any damage is going to hurt you. And I was trying to see, did everybody get out of the pits here in time? I believe they indeed are. Yeah, pit road looking pretty empty right now, except for the guys that are committed to just fixing the rest of the damage or have potentially just called it for the night. As they get to 1 to go signal, Watson's going to line up on the inside again. That's going to put Danny Gutierrez on the outside. The two Team Marble iRacing drivers going to be lined up in row 2. They didn't really get a chance to show their strength here. Now we'll see how they decide to go about it. Richard Elliott is not going to let Jeff Marble try to sit off of Joshua Watson much at all, which, I mean, you wouldn't expect Jeff to do anyway. But let's think about if Jeff had a plan to maybe try to slide up in front of Tyler here if the opportunity presents itself. And if you're Brian Conklin, you're in good position here to push Tyler Marble at least until Jeff can get up there and make that a 3-car kind of trio. But again, that 2-car tandem is so strong. Find somebody that you can lock up with, and the longer that you can stay on their back bumper, the farther and faster you're going to go. 25 laps talked about. It's only going to be one more pit stop from here, but I would expect that final pit stop to probably come somewhere around lap 60, maybe around lap 60. Sooner, depending on what strategy you want to play. Getting the fuel window, I'm going to say for these guys to be extra conservative, is probably about 36 laps. And 36 to go would definitely be probably around 60, maybe a little bit, give or take, a couple laps. So we'll have to see when everybody decides to go. And if you have enough teammates, maybe you short pit it, try to get away from the rest of the mayhem and just set fast laps. Encourage the field to split up, and when that's the case, seems like whichever team has the best chemistry is always the team that wins at these super speedways. See if that's the case here tonight. Here we go. Pace car is going to make the hard left turn again, back onto the pits. And we'll see if Watson and Gutierrez try to coordinate anything this time. Didn't seem like that was the plan last time. Jeff Marble gave a really big push to Watson off of the start and didn't really give him a chance to try to coordinate anything. But you see this time, Joshua Watson starting a little higher up on the track. But into the restart zone they go. Green flag is back in the air. 26 laps complete at Talladega. Already going to have one jumping out. It's Tyler Marble. This is a ballsy move. Looks like Gutierrez missed it. It's causing major stack-ups, and we're going to wreck. In the back, we got 2 cars in the wall. Thomas O'Hara has been spun around completely in the wrong direction. He is trying to save it. As the yellow flag finally flies, Thomas O'Hara had immediately towed. Tried to get off the track in time, and I hate that for the 07. A lot of respect there for him to do that, to try to keep the yellow from coming out, but unfortunately, he towed just before it did fly. And another restart checkup. This time, it's going to start with Danny Gutierrez. And I believe he must have missed a gear unless he ran out of fuel. But one thing, guys run out of fuel for any reason at this rate. And let's watch. Yeah, he was just in the wrong gear here. I mean, you see right here, roll up to the zone. He's in 5th. Never forgets to shift back down to 2nd. When the green flag flies, he floors it. But he's in 5th, and yeah, just causing major checkups. I mean, he stays in 5th for a little while, too, before he realizes, shifts down to 3rd. But, I mean, at that point, it was just way too late, and then shifts to 2nd. And you see guys starting to march by on the outside. Tyler Marble and company were able to realize it in time to jump to the outside without incident. But further back, Thomas O'Hara is not going to get so lucky right here. And I'm trying to figure out who that was with him. I think it was Fitzgerald. Take a look from the TV follow cam. There's the stack up. Continues to escalate the further back you go, and it's actually going to be the 38. He gets involved. Fitzgerald gets a little bit of contact in the wall, but it's overall able to check up and miss most of it. That's Christopher Hall. They come to a stop. I don't think either of these two really got much damage yet again. But with Thomas O'Hara towing, that's going to cost him at least 1, if not 2 laps, especially with where he had to tow from. So we take one more look here from the wall cams. Actually, I'll take that back. Let's take a look from the restart cam so we get a little bit of a better angle of it. And there's the checkup. Tyler splits him. And then there is the ensuing wreck. It didn't actually bring out the yellow when they first wreck. The yellow came out kind of far after the fact. And I'm assuming that might have been because iRacing maybe did not throw it. I'm not sure if admins can throw it or not. And here's the onboard for Thomas O'Hara. You see, just doesn't see any checkup, and then all of a sudden everybody slams on the brake, and just nothing he could really do. So as we go back live and up front, it's still Joshua Watson leading. Not too much of a change for the lead there because we didn't have a chance. However, with that outside line getting so stacked up, it definitely moved a couple guys up. Now in second is going to be Jeff Marble, Richard Elliott sitting in third, Brandon Bikey fourth, Adrian Watts in fifth, Bill Benedict in sixth, Scott Glasso back in seventh, Johnny McCulchuk eighth, Jared Bundy ninth, and it's Tyler Marble currently rounding out your top 10. Normally this is a stat that we'd probably save later in the race, segment rather, but I think let's go take a look now at what your playoff picture is looking like. So we've had a couple wrecks here early. So we talked about round of 16, kicked off the playoffs. We had to eliminate 4 guys after 3 races. Brian Curry, Alan Pajari, Johnny McCulchuk, and Bill Benedict had a great season but came to an end here before they got to the championship. And you look now in the round of 12. Everybody in green is currently in position to advance, but there is a bubble and there is a cutoff line. You see Jeff Shutt, Andrew Niedert, Andrew Kotska, Sean Kaltenbach all around that bubble. But the cutoff line is indeed at Andrew Kotska, and Jeff Shutt currently the first position outside looking in. He is down 8 from making it in. Remember, if any of these guys that are outside get a win, there's a pretty darn good chance that they're going to be making it through to the next rounds, even if they have a pretty rough run at Charlotte. And right now, if you're Brian Conklin and Scott Glasso, I feel like you're pretty close to a must-win scenario. And we know that both of those guys have plenty of the capability to get it done here. Brian Conklin, another phenomenal Superspeedway racer. I feel like Scott Glasso may have a little something next week for the Roval, but don't want to put yourself under immense pressure at a track that is so chaotic. Talladega is very chaotic, but at least you're in control of your car. The Roval, just about anything seems like it can happen. And there you see Scott Glasso currently about 7 cars back, rather, just behind Bill Benedict, who was eliminated in the last round. You see the 16th finishing driver overall in the season. And we'll see if we indeed get the one to go signal here this time. Reminders, next place Ghost Racing Network is going to head is, at least schedule-wise, on Thursday back to the PGR Thursday Night Heat Series. Last week, ran the team draft event, thought it was a phenomenal event, fun to watch. We did see Team Nagels bring home the $600 for the team victory, but in the regular victory itself, we saw John Ward win it. Got the job done in thrilling fashion. A photo finish between him and Coke Series driver Garrett Maines at the line, where Ward squeaked it out by less than 1,000th of a second. And something's telling me we might see a finish similar to that here tonight, as we are indeed at the same track. And we got drivers with ample talent level to make it happen. Joshua Watson. And I'll tell you what, Watson and Richard Elliott, 2 guys that usually have an onboard camera here tonight, and they've been in the front row so much here tonight, they would have had plenty of extra TV time. We don't have them here for driver cams tonight. One guy we haven't got to show yet, Kyle Oakley, got caught up in that first wreck, but he's currently back in 16th, down 2 from where he started, and he is one of the guys carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight. Kyle, we certainly appreciate it. Still looking to get his first win of the season. Came just shy of making the playoffs. And now this is going to push that fuel. Well, it's not going to push the fuel window back. Fuel window is still, I would have to assume, probably right around lap 60, maybe lap 58 or so. Just depending on how early you want to go in. I was trying to think of it. But this does make it to where the latest these guys could go now. It's going to be more towards lap 70. And with as many cautions as we have, it starts to turn into more of a battle of just keeping the track position, and you start to worry about, are we going to potentially get a yellow flag late? And we're going to have to try it again right here. Off of turn number 4. Pace car pulls off again. Joshua Watson, but this time Jeff Marble on the outside. Doesn't have a teammate. We'll see if Jeff can take the lead, and if he does he try to dive low, fend off the 01, or does he stay up top here with the rookie Brandon Bikey? Bill Benedict, looks like Johnny McCulchuk as well. Up in that top line, Johnny McCulchuk sure enough at 8th. See what he can do through this restart. Green flag is back in the air. 65 laps to go at Talladega. Good jump for the inside line. The 01 of Joshua Watson is off to a pretty big lead. Richard Elliott, his teammate's going to follow him through. We'll see if these two jump to the top and try to get everybody in line, or if they stay to the bottom and feel like the momentum's going to roll a little bit better there. Bikey has locked onto the back bumper. Jeff Marble, this is going to be a big, big run for the outside. Can they throw a block here from the inside? And just as I said it was going to be a big run, Richard Elliott and Adrian Watts both got tandem up to their teammate leading Joshua Watson. Now Jeff going to try to split these two going to the middle. Looks like Brandon Bikey's going to follow. Jeff's going to have to find a way to get it sorted out quick here. He's about to get put 3 wide on the bottom. Here comes Scott Glasso and Jared Bundy. Danny Gutierrez somehow already back up here after that incident that brought out the last caution. Tyler Marble jumping to the top. Going to try to hop back down to the middle now. Do anything to help his teammates. But up top, Watson continues to lead. Richard Elliott doing a phenomenal job pushing. He's right on board here for a lap or so with the O2 machine. Richard just holding a nice steady wheel. Joshua Watson in his ear letting him know either, hey, keep pushing me and push me through the corners, or, man, I don't feel too comfortable right now. Go ahead and back off in the corners. Just give me a push down the straightaway. And Jeff continuing to do everything he can to try to side draft. And I think the only thing that was keeping him from going to the bottom for as long as it did right there was he was trying to bring Brandon Bikey with him for sticking with him. And finally was able to get clear, so he brings the 13 car down. And if Tyler Marble is able to get clear the inside, that 48 car will certainly jump down. That'll make it 2 teammates on the inside. And then if Brian Conklin could also find a way to get clear, Team Marble iRacing would line up 1, 2, 3 on the inside to counter JBR E-Racing, who is currently 1, 2, 3 on the outside. And now diving to the bottom, it is going to be Tyler Marble. He's going to split, try to pick off one of the JBR E-Racing teammates. Adrian Watts maybe going to go to the back here, but Richard Elliott, one of the guys that does a lot of money racing on the side. Remember, money racing is only super speedways. He has learned a lot more, and that is a veteran move right there. Jumping to the outside to stick with his teammate. These next gens can generate a lot of momentum out of nothing if you do the right pushes at the right moments. And Elliott jumped out there, and even when it was only 2 of them, they were able to hang even, and now Watson has jumped up there as well, and they're giving a good charge here on this 3rd lane, trying to see if they can get all 3 drivers back clear the middle, which it looks like they do now. Danny Gutierrez, he got clear. He's going to jump up to the top, and we are back to double file racing all the way throughout the field as we come across lap number 33. You see Andrew Nieder pulling out of the pits, was involved in both cautions here tonight, currently being scored in 23rd position. And actually, it looks like he's being scored a lap down as well. And he still has some left side damage. That car not doing too well for him here tonight. Pajari in the pack, not on the lead lap though. And we do have quite a few guys still on the pits. Looks like 27th on back. So that would be 4 cars potentially already eliminated from the race here tonight. As Watson really working on the back bumper of Gutierrez. Jeff Marble's going to jump up. They're having none of it. Try to split him now. A block to the top. Not going to work. Back to the inside goes JBR E-Racing. Tyler Marble going to jump up to try to help his teammate. These guys are going at it. That was a huge, huge block right there from Jeff Marble. But again, a good thing. Jumped up once to see if he could hold him. Once they went back to the inside, he said, hey, man, you got it. You can have it. I'll jump back to the back. You'll see me back here in a couple laps. JBR E-Racing here would really like to try to clog up, I think, both lanes. But strength in numbers, and right now they have 4 guys in the middle. Brandon Bikey still holding the bottom down. He's got a big push here from Scott Glasso. You can see he's now gotten locked on. And whatever setups they brought this week, again, I believe all the setups for JBR E-Racing is made by Ryko. These cars have been on rails, and they have been absolutely flying here tonight. Let's take a look at the dashboard, in fact, just to see what we're working with for speeds here tonight. About 194 miles an hour entering the tri-oval here on exits, where he's going to get a big push. 195, 198, almost 200 miles an hour as they get down into turn 1. That's that fine line of chaos. All it takes is one bad push, and your night could come to an end. Kyle Oakley and Glenn Grigsby, the 2 cars out in the back of this pack right now. Glenn Grigsby, man, how sweet would it be to see an underdog win for the 64 team? One of the independent drivers has made almost every race of the season. And Glenn's always one of those guys. There's certain guys that you say you couldn't have a league without, and I feel like Glenn Grigsby is one of those guys. He's here every week participating, always trying to get better, and one of the small teams that always gets an advantage when we come to a track like Talladega, and the playing field is as even as it is. Now starting to single file out a little bit on that top line, just like Dale Jr. Danny Gutierrez starting to be the Pied Piper here at Talladega. And guys running that middle line, that's where they feel the most comfortable. And I think if we see a pass, it would seem pretty intuitive to see that pass happen on the bottom. But I wouldn't be too surprised actually here if we see one of these guys potentially jump up to the top line. And when you're able to get an actual side draft on one of these cars, whether it be the right or left side, it really, really sucks the guy that you're side drafting back, gets him all out of whack. And I think that's how you try to make the pass here if you're doing it by yourself. Maybe jump out of line, try to catch a big side draft on the guy, and then get around, get clear, and get back in line before he ever knew what happened. And further back, a little bit of a second pack starting to form right here, currently being led by Jared Bundy in the 6 car. He leads Todd Shiro, Jeffrey Souza, Kyle Oakley, Scott Glasso, Jeff Schutz, and Glenn Grigsby. And I think they're playing it safe right now. They feel like there might be a wreck, and they don't want to be any near it when the ticking time bomb blows up. There's Andrew Nieder, talked about currently a lap down, and he is working his way down the short chute to the tribal. The rest of the field halfway down the backstretch, now entering turn number 3. And we'll see how long everybody chooses to stay single file. Feel like with as much chaos as we had early, maybe this was to a degree a mutual decision. Everybody saying, you know what, guys, let's just go ahead and settle down for a little bit. We still got plenty of laps of racing. You can't win it on the 37th one, but you sure can't lose it. So Danny Gutierrez, while he continues to lead his 3 teammates, Joshua Watson, Richard Elliott, and Adrian Watts, all continuing to just sit back here, play the patience game, and just kind of play your role. That second car line always is supposed to be the pusher. Third car line in the next gens can sometimes be a little bit of a pusher on the straightaways, but more or less just stick close to that second car in case they fade off. Fourth car line, you're just watching to see if anybody else has a run and trying to warn your team about it. But as they stayed in the middle, you see further back, we got a group thinking about going to the high side. And then that second pack, very odd, but they're continuing to fade right here. We'll see if that's the trend that continues or if they're able to turn it around here, maybe start to catch back up. And looking at the speeds, 197 miles an hour out of turn number 4 into the tribal. There you go. Jeff Marble, he's able to get locked onto the back bumper of his teammate. And this is where they're going to really start to make some killer speed. The 01 locked on. Does get his teammate to just about 200 miles an hour again as they dive down into turn number 1. Looking at the weather outside. Started with, I believe it was 100. It was around this for track temp, so nothing's changed much there. Sim time, it is now 3:57 rather. I read that completely wrong. 1:57 rather. And middle of the day, hottest part, so track temp maybe going to go up just a little bit more, but by the end of this race, it might potentially start cooling down. And Danny Gutierrez is looking to go for a run here at the most laps led so far tonight. Pit window not set to open up still for another 20 laps. So everybody continues to ride single file. We saw the Team Marble iRacing drivers with a little bit of trouble in the sense of fell back a little bit. Jeff Marble is currently sitting in 6th. He's got a teammate just behind him. That's Tyler Marble, and they're going to add their 3rd teammate here tonight just behind both of them, and that is Brian Conklin. Austin Fitzgerald had gotten a little bit of damage earlier, but you see it looks like it buffed out pretty well, and he's able to hang with the draft pretty fast here. He had hood damage. Yeah, actually, they did a really good job of fixing up that 74 car, and he does have a teammate in Alan Pajari just behind him, and with Alan not being in the playoffs and the bad luck he's had early here tonight, being a lap down, his only objective here is going to be to help Austin. I can tell you right now, if Austin Fitzgerald were to dive to the outside to make a move, his teammate Alan Pajari would 100% go with him because, I mean, what else does he have to do right now? Fighting for the lucky dog? If you can help someone else where it's going to help you, you might as well. And if it's a teammate, of course you're going to help him. As we pull the tower back up, I apologize for it going down right there for just a moment. Looking back on some of the onboard cameras here, Tyler Marble staying lasered focus. And it looks like getting maybe a little bit of a hand cramp. I'll tell you what, you would not believe how tight some of these guys can grip this steering wheel. And when you have to hold it this steady for this many laps, it eventually starts to take a little bit of toll on your hands. You start to feel it. Maybe get a blister if you have a direct drive wheel. But here's Jeff Marble, currently sitting just in front of his teammate in 6th. He's down three spots from where he started, but he's got a lot of speed here tonight. And last Superspeedway, Jeff loves pushing people, knows he's a good pusher. But man, Superspeedways can get so frustrating at the end depending on where you're trapped, who's got damage where, and how it affects their car. Joshua Watson, by the way, shout out to Joshua. Let's zoom in here for just a moment. You see the front of the car has had a new paint scheme from what he had last week. And the reason for that here, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And sure enough, maybe can't see it too good right there, but Joshua Watson has the Breast Cancer Awareness Month logo on the front of his car. Says, "Love you, Mom." And that's some good looking colors. There's got the pink, black, and white. And I feel like maybe it would be just a little bit extra special for Josh to win here tonight. At Talladega, of course, supporting Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And while in game, these guys can't have pink window nets next week at Charlotte. I believe they might be having that in real life. 43 laps now complete, starting to approach the halfway mark of this 250-mile affair. A lot of chaos, a lot of 2-3 wide action early. But it's like somebody told these guys to settle down or something, because since they've gotten single file, nobody has even flinched or even thought about jumping out. And it's so hard to do because you know how great the risk is to lose track position. You make one bad mistake, you jump out, the guy behind ditches you, goes around, and you could be to the back before you even know it happens. But I'm looking more towards the second group, which has kind of thrown me for a little bit of a loop. You know, you got the front pack here, it goes pretty far. But then you get back here, where it was initially Jared Bundy leading it. And just not exactly sure what happened to this group. They are now, I'm trying to look at the times, they're being scored. That's the back. Let's go to the front of the pack. Andrew Kotska, Kyle Oakley. Kyle Oakley is actually the leader of the second pack, and he is currently 4.6 seconds away from the back bumper of Andrew Kotska, the last car in this lead pack, and that gap is continuing to extend and grow. So that second group has got to figure out something. They've been running single file. There's a chance that they just maybe not doing enough pushing, and it's so much easier to lose the draft in the next gens than it is in the truck or Xfinity cars. So if those guys were close and maybe just barely slipped up, it was too much to have a chance at catching back up. They're probably going to need a caution. Joey, if Danny Gutierrez continues to run that middle line, there's still a lane open above him. 2 lanes open below him, but nobody making a pass. And right now, all the way back to Andrew Kotska, it is only a 15-car lead pack. And you got to remember, we started with 30. So for only half the field to be in the lead pack before we even get to this green flag pit stop, definitely maybe makes you a little bit concerned if you're one of the drivers in that position. Misfire _00 Brian says, "Give him hell, Danny, hell of a job coming from the back." Misfire says, "Nice move, JBR." And JBR has been putting their stamp all over this race so far, leading the most laps by pretty big margins. And Team Marvel iRacing has been trying pretty hard to fight him for it, but they've just not had much to hold him back with. Still no inside line as we're going to be coming across to complete lap 46. We are going to take another commercial break. We'll be right back. Stick with us. Welcome back, everybody, to Talladega Superspeedway for the Talladega Fall 250. 49 laps complete. Danny Gutierrez still trying to lead the most. In fact, he may have just taken over that category at this point. But JBR Racing as a whole has been absolutely dominant. The last time we saw them this dominant as a group was opening speed weeks at Daytona International Speedway through the Clash, and then, of course, the Capital Auto Daytona 250. But some of the other guys looking to play spoiler here tonight. And while we've been focused so much on the playoff picture, you still got to focus on the non-playoff guys that are looking for that first win on the season. Richard Elliott is the closest running one right now. He sits in third. How about two rookies here? Adrian Watson, fourth. Another one of the JBR E-Racing drivers looking for a chance at his first win of the season. Brandon Bikey looking to see if he can get another win here tonight at Talladega. Jeff Marble back in sixth. Not a rookie, but the reason I'm stopping on him here real quick is because him and Tyler have been pretty much stuck together the entire race. Brian Conklin in this battle as well, and you would think at this point these two, if the roles somehow get reversed, I think they're looking to maybe try to push Brian Conklin to win here tonight. Again, playoff driver, but looking for that first win on the season. Christopher Hall, trouble early in that 38, but he has recovered nicely, currently sitting in 11th. The driver out of Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. Cody Richardson back in 12th. There's Bill Benedict's a non-playoff driver, no more, but he did make the playoffs without a win on the season. Shows you just how consistent that 90 car was the whole season, but he's still looking for his first win of the season. So is Johnny McCulchuk. Kyle Oakley, we'll see if he can maybe get it done here tonight. And keeping an eye on this group. Remember the gap that we said, it was at about 4.6. Well, now they're closing it up. Since we last checked, it is now down to 3 seconds. I'm not going to look at it for too long because I feel like I'm going to give them the announcer's jinx, but got to wonder if that second pack maybe figured something out. They're going to have to narrow it back down to somewhere around probably about a second and a half before they'll be back in drafting range. But you do notice they are running the bottom right now while this group still on the middle. And it's one of those things where once the whole pack gets lined up in a certain lane, it's going to take a lot of guys to move to a certain lane before everybody else is going to follow, and nobody wants to dive to the inside or outside at this point, as I think everybody's trying to cruise to pit stops from here, which the fuel window opens in probably about 5 laps or so. Don't expect to see pit stops right on that, but I do think we could see pit stops anytime between lap 60 and lap 70. As we go back, take a look through the running order and some of the guys with issues here again tonight. Looks like Brian Curry, Jacob Musso have both retired from the race here tonight. They're going to finish 29th and 30th. And pulling up your track map, two of the guys that are going to be probably the first two in danger of going a lap down here is going to be Cody Matthews, and it looks like Andrew Nieder, both different amount of laps down, but Andrew Russo still stuck on the pits. He got damaged from one of the previous incidents. Dave Sanders in the 77 is currently sitting in 25th. Glenn Grigsby in 24th. Andrew Nieder in 23rd. Alan Pajari 22nd. And it looks like Alan Pajari is currently actually, I take it back. Jared Bundy is the last car on the lead lap in 21st. Todd Shiro in 20th. Jeffrey Souza in 19th. Scott Glasso up in 18th. Jeff Shutt 17th. Kyle Oakley in 16th. The man leading this second pack, trying to make the charge to the front. Continue to narrow it down. It's now down to 2.8 seconds off the back bumper of Andrew Kotska. Johnny McCulchuk in 14th. Bill Benedict in 13th. Cody Richardson in 12th. Christopher Hall up in 11th. Starting us in your top 10, it's going to be Sean Kaltenbach in 10th. Austin Fitzgerald just in front of him for Dynamic Autosports in 9th. Brian Conklin 8th. Tyler Marble in 7th. Jeff Marble in 6th. Brandon Bikey in 5th. Adrian Watts in 4th. Richard Elliott 3rd. Joshua Watson 2nd. And Danny Gutierrez still leading the field here at Talladega. And it's going to be so important that this second group here being led by Kyle Oakley catches up if they can before we make it to that green flag pit stop, because things just get so chaotic and disorganized at that point that it almost becomes tricky to catch up. And you just see the gaps continue to spread out in a really odd fashion. A lot more checkups right now with that first group than what we're seeing with the second group. Now, what could very well help the second group right here is they're going to fly by these two lappers here of Andrew Niedert and Cody Matthews. They're not going to be able to probably hang on to this draft, or if they do, they're going to fall so far back that they're almost going to act as sort of a bridge to close that gap between this first pack and that second pack. And if they stay on the bottom, that's going to help the cause even more as while these guys work around, it's slowing them down just a little bit. And these are the battles that, while maybe not side by side, can capture the attention so easily because it's so interesting on whether or not they have enough to get it done. Jeff Shutt, Glenn Grigsby, this is their chance. They've got to push with all their worth right here. The gap, 3.5 seconds right now is, actually Kotska and them have now lost. Not sure what mistake happened here, but Kotska, Mikulchuk, and Benedict, who were on the back bumper of that lead pack, have all of a sudden fallen off of it. It looked like Niedert, Benedict, and company were actually able... Niedert and Cody Matthews were actually able to hang on to the back of this lead draft. But we'll see how this breakup helps that second pack. After we wrap up here at Talladega here tonight, next week, of course, go to the Charlotte Roval, a 55-lap race. That is going to be an interesting one. Part oval, part road course. What could go wrong? Week after that, October 16th, we head to Las Vegas. I would say, honestly, the last regular track that everybody feels comfortable at. And that's going to kick off the round of 8, 134 laps before we head to Homestead. A very interesting 1.5 miles heavy banking, progressive banking, which means we might see some guys running right up against the wall. Another 134-lap race. And that's where the championship used to be. So some guys going to have some good practice there. Martinsville, the last race before the championship to cap off the round of 8, 250 laps at the paperclip. And I can tell you right now, there are going to be some tempers. Guys are not going to be happy. Always a fun one. Before we head to Phoenix, of course, kind of a short track, classifies as a short track, but almost runs a little bit more like a mix of a 1.5 miles and a short track. Nonetheless, 156 laps, and we have already been there this season. So your previous Phoenix winner is going to have a pretty good advantage. At least you would have to think. 57 laps now complete, starting to wind down on, it's going to be 34 to go here in just a couple laps. Right around that sweet spot for pit stops, at least in my book. I would probably be pitting, I think I would pit right around lap 60, 34. Good to go on fuel, especially if you're the JBR racing crew. As good as they've been all night, if they pit early, I mean, what stops them from pulling away from the rest of the field here? Speaking of pulling away, this lead pack has been trying to pull away from the second pack. And these bridge cars are really playing havoc on that right now. Johnny Mikulchuk currently being shown 3.5 seconds behind them. That second draft rather, they've fallen apart all of a sudden. Scott Glasso now the lead pusher, Glenn Grigsby the lead car. And not sure if two setups were just too unaligned or what. See Andrew Nieder coming back down to the pits, but they continue to try to struggle. Noted here this lead pack. They have now shuffled down to the bottom as well. Could be indicative of pit stops here in the next couple of laps. And I think that whatever the JBR e-racing crew does, I think everybody else is going to follow, especially Team Marble iRacing. And right now, 1 through 4 is indeed JBR e-racing with Danny Gutierrez leading. Joshua Watson still in second. Richard Elliott third. Adrian Watson fourth. Brandon Bikey splitting the two groups up. He currently sits in fifth. And then it's Team Marble iRacing in sixth with Jeff Marble, Tyler Marble in seventh, and Brian Conklin in eighth. Dynamic Autosport with Austin Fitzgerald. Ooh, do we get a little potential fake out right there? A couple guys dove low like they were going to pit. Didn't actually go. Might have been a little trickery there. Doesn't look like it was able to catch anybody off guard, though. And after we dropped off a couple of cars, this lead pack, as it stands right now, is down to 12 cars. And I'm trying to figure out who that is that's just slightly behind. It is one of the cars that has went a lap down, I do believe. And it might be Jared Bundy. I think it is. Not sure if he has had some issues. Yeah, it looks like he went a lap down here just recently. Maybe pit, and actually that is not Jared Bundy. Can't exactly tell who it is. Nonetheless, let's see if these guys decide to bring it down to the pits right here. Off of turn number 4, Danny Gutierrez giving each other a little bit of space here, and sure enough, here we go. First round of pit stops is underway. That got a little sketchy, but it's going to be all the JBR e-racing drivers. Richard Elliott blows it, gets way off tracks, able to get back on after getting in the grass, but that is going to be a penalty for the 0-2 car. And that is a tough break, man. It looked like he was coming in there really hot for the lane that he was running. And this is going to break up JBR e-racing at least a little bit, as you'll see Elliott stop. Still going to take full service here, but he is going to lose And he overshoots the box just a little bit. He's going to lose probably at least a lap. Hopefully not 2 right here. Meanwhile, Joshua Watson gets a good stop in his box. All these guys taking 4 tires and full fuel. I would certainly have assumed they took 4. And now as we go back up front, the rest of the leaders coming out of 4. I'm thinking they're pitting this time. We'll see if Jeff Marble and Tyler Marble follow. And sure enough, they're going to. Late commitment here by Jeff. He's trying to get in as deep as he can. Old tires, can everyone make it stick? So far, so good. And everybody indeed does. They all get in clean. Looks like the group just behind these guys came in as well. Mikulchuk, Kotska, and Benedict, that is. And that was the 77 of Dave Sanders. I don't believe he's hanging with these guys in terms of position, but he is still currently up here. Yeah, Dave currently not on the lead lap. And as we pull up the track map, looking for the Team Watson Racing drivers, there they are, going to be working their way out of turn 4 right here. And it looks like all these guys did choose to take 4 tires, I believe. Waiting on fuel for some of them. I couldn't actually tell. I didn't get to look at the jack. But here's the pit lane cam for you if we can get to it in time. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to. And there is the JBR E-Racing guys. Looks like a pretty good stop. We'll see if it's enough for them to go right around Team Marble iRacing and Company. Austin Fitzgerald, Brandon Bikey with a phenomenal stop. And actually, I think they might beat him here. I think this is definitely going to all merge back into one pack, but a great, great stop for Brandon Bikey, Austin Fitzgerald, and Dave Sanders, who was even in the mix. Jeff Marble going to hop up to the top here looking for a block. He's going to have to do a lot of it here. They're going to split him. It's not going to work. Kaltenbach goes high with Danny Gutierrez. Watson and Adrian Watts both follow. And JBR E-Racing has lost some help here. Watts is still up there, but of course, looking for Richard Elliott. Got a speeding penalty, not a speeding penalty, but an unsafe pit exit. Entry, man, I can't find the words. And who knows, he may have got a speeding penalty on top of it. It was a rough pit stop. And now that just leaves Jeffrey Souza as the only car still out on track. And with what's coming to be 31 laps to go, I think at this point the 96 is just banking on a caution, hoping he can get one. He's got a pretty good gap in front of the rest of the field. And I think he's just going to run this thing out of fuel. If he gets a caution, that's a really good break and could potentially put him in position to be in the mix for the win. But if he doesn't, it's going to cost him a lot of time. As by yourself here without draft, you lose probably, honestly, 3 to 5 seconds a lap. I would say more like 2 to 4 seconds a lap here in these next gens. And as it's going to be 30 to go this time, that lead pack, you can see, has significantly trimmed down. It is now only 11. And there's the group just behind. If they could get organized, they might have a chance at catching them. Cody Richardson, the last guy in this lead pack, and nobody else expecting a pit stop for the rest of the way, and they should actually be good for overtime as well. I think that's why they waited a little bit longer. But once it all cycled out, or once it does all cycle out, it looks like it is going to be JBR E-Racing back out in front with the lead now. Who is going to make the first move, and when are you going to make it? It's always the question here, and that bottom is wide open, but you're going to have to set up a good run, and you're going to have help. So you kind of wonder to a certain degree here. You see Jeff currently being split up by Austin Fitzgerald. Does he maybe drop to the back? His teammates drop to the back, and do they maybe try to get linked up, make a run to the bottom? I'm not a fan of waiting towards the end, especially in the next gens, because it always feels like you're experimenting with how hard you can push. And you don't want to turn a guy if you feel like maybe you haven't gotten in the rhythm of pushing him throughout the race. They've been single file now for quite some time, just about the whole second half of this race. Taking a look at the guys with our onboard cameras here tonight, getting an update on him. Jeff Marble still sitting in 7, talked about right now. He is leading the Team Marble iRacing guys. There he is holding a steady wheel, and I think he is planning it out right now. He's running the numbers through his head on what lap he wants to make that move and how he's going to make it. We'll see if he's able to get a side draft once he finally does make that move. I think that's how you got to do it. At least pick them off one at a time and then hope that your teammates follow you. Second guy with an onboard camera for us here tonight, of course, Tyler Marble, currently running in 10th. He's working the wheel. Knows he's got a shot at capturing another win here tonight. Already has 3 on the season. Would love to make it number 4. And then you go back, not in the lead pack, but certainly in that second pack, and it's Kyle Oakley in 15th, and he is actually leading that second pack. Carrying the onboard camera for us here tonight. Had a great run so far tonight, and looking to cap it off here with the top 15. If we get a caution, easily look to see the 17 contending potentially for a top 5, and I think anybody contends for a shot at a win here if we do get a caution, as he's going to now bail out, let this group go by, and that's the strategy that they're going to have to try here if they want to get to the front. You got to push 24/7, and when the guy behind you gets hot, you just got to drop to the back, switch, and I hope it works. We'll see if they can make any time up. No Excuses Racing, Johnny McCallchuk currently sitting in the 17th position, up 10 from where he started. He's our final guy carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight, and he is sitting in that second pack as well, third in line. You can see they got separated. They're all trying to group back together. Johnny trying to help his teammate up there, Jeff Shutt, who is still in the round of 12, trying everything to see if he can make it to the round of 8, currently just on the outside looking in. And we talked about the normal points battle. The other thing I had forgot to mention here tonight was that non-playoff driver points race. I think I might have mentioned a couple guys in it earlier, but yes, it is Thomas O'Hara leading it right now with 81 points. Jeffrey Souza second in it, and Richard Elliott third. And I think Souza's the man, or excuse me, not Souza, Elliott was the man that was looking to make the biggest gain here tonight. But after that penalty, you got to wonder how that's going to affect his chances of gaining a lot of points here tonight. As we go back up front, not too much movement just yet. Everybody's still single file, minding their P's and Q's. Richard Elliott is in this pack. Unfortunately, though, for him, he is a lap down. However, at a track like Talladega, even being a lap down, if he can get back to the front here, he could help his teammates out. And I think that's exactly what he's planning on doing. If nothing else, he should be in position here to get the lucky dog, at least for now. As on the lead lap, right now we have 20 cars. And yet, Richard Elliott actually being scored 2 laps down. So he would still be the lucky dog, but it would put him 1 lap down, in which case he would need another caution. But if we get a couple cautions late, there's a very, very good likelihood that cautions start to breed cautions at a track like Talladega. Overtime has definitely been a thing that we have seen a couple times here throughout the season when we've head to the Superspeedways. Coming up on another lapper here, that's going to be Todd Shiro. He's got some damage, I think, from earlier. Actually, maybe not. In fact, let's stop on the 3 car real quick. He'd been having a great night. It may not have been damage. It may have been more or less a penalty. As we look at the front, I take it back. No, he does have heavy damage. Must have been from one of the wrecks earlier, and that is what is currently hindering the 3 car. Seemed like he'd been hanging in the pack for a while. Not sure if I'd missed something a little bit more recent or what. Nonetheless, as we come to lap 70, before these guys start to make moves, how about some good sound here? Crank it up at Talladega. Take a listen. And that's going to do it for tonight's segment of Crank It Up. Hope everybody did enjoy. Danny Gutierrez still leading, no change there. And yet again, nobody has tucked out of line yet. The biggest change really going on for now is just the lap cars that they're putting down, right? Glenn Grigsby, Jeffrey Souza going to tack onto the back of this pack. And then, of course, that second pack, who is now currently being led by Bill Benedict. They're doing a phenomenal job here, and they might have a chance at actually catching this lead pack. We've kind of broken into 3 packs. There's Kyle Oakley and company further back, but going back to Bill Benedict, Andrew Kotska and them, the gap right now is 3 seconds, but it's closing. It is closing. It was about 3.5 last time I had checked, and it's down to 3. We'll see if the front pack has any info on that and is maybe trying to change their line up a little bit, but I think the biggest difference is, of course, some of the draft are pulling off these lap cars, but notice that these guys are actually running the bottom. Currently, the lead pack is running the top. You got to wonder if that's costing them any time. Everybody being right up by the wall, man. As tires wear out, it gets really, really sketchy up there. But so far, everybody looks to be handling pretty good on the custom sets that they all created here tonight. And with 22 laps to go, not quite at crunch time just yet, but it's definitely time to really start thinking about what moves you want to make if you haven't yet. I think Joshua Watson and Adrian Watson right here have one purpose, and that is to see that 08 stay exactly where he is all the way to the finish, as it would lock the 2 JBR racing drivers that are in the playoffs into the next round. Watson, of course, got the win last week, so he's good to go. All he's going for here tonight is extra points and trying again to get his teammate in victory lane here tonight. We'll see if he can do it. Looking a little bit back on this second pack again. We got a lot of guys that really got spread out. In fact, you look at the track map. Got a little chaotic there for a couple laps. Started to look like maybe we were at Bristol. And there is Bill Bennett. He's up 2 from where he started, by the way. And we were keeping an eye on that gap. Now down to 2.6. Still maintaining pretty evenly Cody Richardson. And actually, this doesn't even count Richard Elliott. So that gap's actually probably a little bit closer than that. Let's go to the cockpit view here right on board with Bill Benedict for just a moment. How about his pusher, Andrew Kotska? Kotska, the fate of this pack is right now in the hands of Andrew Kotska. All Bill Benedict could do is hold a straight line. Andrew Kotska, though, has got to do a phenomenal job of pushing him here. And that means even pushing him if you get a little bit uncomfortable. And I got good news for these cats. They did it. They caught the back draft here of Cody Richardson. And by draft, I mean they caught the back to where they're in a half a second. Now they should probably move up. I think it's a good idea for them to wash up the track right here. Bill's got within 1.5 seconds. Richard Elliott tacking on. That means it's probably even closer than that. Bill, though, continues to stay low. Got to be careful here. You don't want to lose whatever you just made up. And that's going to bring in about another 4. I think it was about 4 cars into the mix. Yeah, sure enough, 5. Dave Sanders not on the lead lap. Neither is Pajari. And just behind him, the 38, though, of Christopher Hall certainly is. So Kotska, Benedict, and Hall are the 3 beneficiaries of this pack catching back up. And now we'll see when they get there if this might be the first move. That lane on the inside, they may choose not to go up, or when they do go up, they might choose to get a run and then drop right back down to the bottom. And we'll see if anybody tries to block the momentum and maybe start this chain, get it going. Taking a look from the blimp cam, you can see just how close they are. Now down to half a second. And like I said, the only thing that's got me surprised here is that Bill has not jumped up. I know Andrew Kotska has got to be really hurting on temps right now, and they're within plenty of range to pull a big draft off the top line, get an even bigger run. Maybe a little bit of a lack of communication going on right there. And again, if Kotska gets too hot where he has to really back off, they could be in danger of maybe losing everything they just made up. But Benedict continues to stay low. Must feel comfortable there. Kotska maybe letting him know, just stay low. I'm good to go on temps. And either way, they're there now. Even with the 0-2 of Richard Elliott, here comes Bill Benedict. With 18 laps to go. Watch for Team Marble iRacing to be the first ones to make the move now. Benedict's going to jump to the top. Kotska, there's the move. So now we're going to see a big run down the back straightaway. We'll see if Benedict drops low when he's got the momentum. And if he does Kotska follow or does he stay up top? Kotska's actually going to be the first one to make the move. Nobody goes, so now he dips back in line. Pajari further back. He tries to go around Dave Sanders. And remember, while all these guys are fighting for position, some of them still fighting for the lucky dog. Alan Pajari, one of those guys, and I think he just wants to get this pack to start mixing it up and maybe increase those chances for a caution a little bit more. So he's got a chance at getting a lucky dog. Up front, JBR still staying the same. Kaltenbach separating him. Having a great run here tonight. We know he knows how to get it done at Talladega. Winner here last time. Danny Gutierrez keeping a wide expression on his face right now, at least in terms of his eyes are wide open. watching his rearview mirror. He knows that his teammates aren't going to make a move. They've probably already talked about it in Discord, but what he's more concerned about right now is where is that move coming from, and do I need to block it, or is it good enough where I can just stay up here with my teammates and hopefully cruise all the way to the finish? Now remember, Danny started back towards the 30s. I mean, he is up 25 positions from where he started this race at. I mean, just doing a phenomenal job. And as we close in now on 16 laps to go, getting ready, the calm before the storm. We'll have it all when we come back. Final break, hopefully here from Talladega. Stick with us. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway, action picking up. You can only keep some of these guys at bay for so long, and it is go time now for Mad Sim Racing. Here comes Cody Richardson on the inside, made the move while we were at break, and just like that, with 13 coming to 12 laps to go, we are side by side at Talladega. Danny Gutierrez still on the outside, and now Joshua Watson. He's going to have to crank up the heat a little bit here if he wants to keep his teammate out in front for 12 more laps. Gutierrez is going to try to manage that gap. We'll see if he does any lane swapping here to try to control the runs, or if he just stays where he is and tries to stay out in front. This is the last plate track, of course, of the regular season. Everybody wants to win, and this is where all things get crazy. All bets are off pretty much at this point. Go to the front or go to the back. Your only two options. Kotska separated right now from his teammate by one car. That is Bill Benedict, who got back up here by working hard with the group he was in. They actually caught this pack, and that is why they are in the mix currently now. But that top line still showing so much speed. I was waiting to see the Team Marvel iRacing guys actually be the first ones to jump down, but, you know, noticing back here, Jeff Marble and Tyler Marble. There's Tyler back in 12th. And that 48 machine was looking for his teammate Jeff, who is currently still up in the middle. Wondering when Jeff is going to make the move. He's got position to do it, but maybe he feels like the bottom is not the place to go. Still wondering, will anybody experiment, try to take the top? Usually can hold a lot of momentum there if you can get to the outside of a guy. Brandon Bikey, Sean Kaltenbach, two of the guys that don't really have many, if any, teammates up here. And actually, Bikey may be kind of working with Kaltenbach. But besides that, you got to wonder who do those two go with to try to get to the front. The bottom going to try to make another surge, but they're going to need more cars. Name of the game is just going to be which lane has the most help, has the most push, and right now it is the top. JBR Racing held off the surge for a couple laps in the bottom, still with 4 cars, but starting to slowly die out. Bill Benedict trying to surge back on the inside, and you can see that's because Joshua Watson got disattached from his teammate there. But down the back straightaway, he's going to get right back down to business. Put a poll out to see if anybody wanted to vote on whether or not JBR Racing could go 1, 2, 3. No one voted. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put my vote in. I'm going to say that they can. Am I going to guarantee it? By no means. There's just too many crazy things that can happen here on the last lap. But as dominant as they've been so far, I would by no means rule it out of the picture. Going to be coming to 9 laps to go this time. Final 10 at Talladega. Will we see 3 wide? One thing we haven't seen yet is 4 wide. Could potentially see that at the end. Jeff Marble, Tyler Marble, and Brian Conklin, they need to find a way to get together. Austin Fitzgerald, though, continues to separate those 3 teammates. And this is a good time where I think if you're Jeff, maybe jump down to the bottom. Either get a run to the front, or if Austin Fitzgerald goes by, maybe Brian Conklin lets him up. But he's just going to continue to run where he's at. Brandon Bikey thought about dipping down, but quickly thinks better of it. Jumps back up to the top line. Alan Pajari. A couple of these other guys, Dave Sanders, and maybe not on the lead lap, but they're going to have a say in who wins this race. Back up front, it is now 6 cars, all single file on the outside before we go 2 by 2. With the Wonder Bread car of Cody Richardson, Bill Benedict behind him, Andrew Kotska, and Dave Sanders. The 38, looking to see which line he wants to roll with. That's Christopher Hall. Great run for one of the rookies here tonight. Take a ride on board as things are starting to pick up. It's actually right on board with Bill Benedict, the pusher on that inside line. You see he's running closer and closer to the back bumper of Cody Richardson. We talked about guys will get more and more risky with it as each lap ticks off. Bill certainly doesn't want to put Cody in a bad spot. They potentially wreck that 46, but he's really going to have to get up on the wheel here and try to stay to the back bumper of Cody throughout the turns if they want to make that progress. Compare that to the outside lineup here of Joshua Watson, who right now just letting it cool a little bit, doesn't need to be right on the back bumper of his teammates. There's no run to fend off. But watch when he does get attached here. There it is. Big bumper slam. Danny maybe drags the brakes just a little bit, which is a good tactic to do in these next gens. Fall back to a guy. The quicker you get locked up, the quicker you can go forward. And here you go. There's the bumper slam. And right now, that's all he's got to do. But as this inside line continues to try to pull up, if they eventually get there, I think that's when you're going to see Josh tag onto the back bumper and actually stick to it instead of fade out just a little bit more. Going back further in this pack, some more guys committing to the bottom still. Andrew Kotska and Dave Sanders, but they cannot get anyone else to bite yet. Tyler Marble, Brian Conklin, Austin Fitzgerald, Jeff Marble. I just don't see any way any of those 4 guys stay in line the rest of the way, but so far they're staying nice and patient. Danny Gutierrez continues to lead the outside. He has now by far led the most laps. As we come to 6 laps to go now at Talladega. Who is going to lock themselves into the next round? Could it be Danny Gutierrez? Could it be back a couple rows? Jeff Marble? How about Cody Richardson? Anybody could still win it. Back further in the field, that second group being led by Kyle Oakley. They're not going to have any chance of catching leaders. In fact, they are 21 seconds back. Their best hope is going to be a caution. A couple other guys single file real quick here. 25th place position. Cody Matthews by himself up in 15th. Jared Bundy currently riding by himself as well. And in 23rd, Glenn Grigsby going to be the next car to go a lap down potentially before the end of this race. And as pack roars down on him, he'll probably hop out of the way. Cody Richardson trying to make a surge again here to the bottom. This is where Joshua Watson's going to go to work. You see now he does lock onto the back bumper of his teammate, and he's just going to tandem there all the way through turns 1 and 2 here. Finally backs off. He realizes they've got plenty of a run to make it work, and Bill Benedict's starting to push a little harder, and they've also gained an extra car now in that bottom line. said it, strength in numbers, and it looks like Pajari has now recommitted to the bottom. That's going to help their momentum. Somebody's going to have to jump down, though. Who's it going to be? Bikey, Marble, or Kaltenbach? Oh, they're wrecking out back. That's going to be Bill Benedict. He goes for a slide. Can he save it? In the grass he goes. No caution. I think he saved it. Saved it enough, at least, to not draw a caution. We'll see if he's able to get back rolling. Onto the apron. He's going to get back on the track here. And he is going to bring out the caution. And backs it down. Still no caution. And now it's out. Not sure if that was admin thrown or what. We'll have to see if we can get better insight on that. Actually, let's see if we can see it in the chat here real quick. I believe that was not admin thrown. And, you know, you hate to stipulate, but sometimes up here in the booth, I feel like I'm supposed to say what I see, and I didn't really like what I saw right there from Bill, but, you know, we'll have to take a ride on the cockpit view before I say anything else, because you never know. Might have been fighting something that we couldn't see. Did get out of shape initially. I thought he did a phenomenal job of saving it. It was the extracurricular after that was maybe not so good by the 90. Let's back this up here. So let's see first. He gets turned out of line. I don't think this part was on Bill at all. He was doing a phenomenal job pushing here, actually. And so I think it's going to be a little bit of a checkup. You see Kotska sneaking to the inside as Bill's just following Cody up. Kotska is now there. And Bill's going to realize it. Ooh, Kotska may have actually came up a little bit right there. I'll try to play that in a little bit slower frame for you. It's hard to tell. I mean, it was really close. Certainly was not by much if Kotska did come up. So you see Bill pushing, and it's really, really close on if Kotska goes slightly up and Bill comes slightly down. Yeah, Kotska definitely barely creeps up, and Bill maybe just slightly coming down once they get together. That sends the 90 off spinning in the grass. Kotska saves it. And right here, Bill did a good job of saving it. In the grass, there was no caution at this point. He's going to get it back going, and right here, doesn't have much speed. I figured, you know, he would get back rolling on the apron, but instead, you're going to see him get a little loose. Backs it down into the grass, and this is where the caution does come out. And I'm thinking I'm hoping Bill I'm thinking he probably didn't realize, you know, it's one of those things as a driver where you get back going, you think, okay, let me get on the bank and get going, but the tires are so worn out. I'm thinking he just tried to get up here, and it just spun itself. Definitely one of those things that you hate to see in the sense of the caution flying, only because these guys had a good race going, and a lot of times when we see a late caution like this with so few laps to go, it can cause for a sloppy finish sometimes, but these guys have been doing phenomenal all night. And now the question is going to be, can Danny Gutierrez find a way to hold it off and get the win here for 2 laps? It's going to send us into overtime, first of 3. In fact, let's see if we can go get a quick word with your leader here, Danny Gutierrez. Hey, Danny, this is all stuff for the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, you've led the most laps. In fact, I mean, JBR E-Racing in general has led the most laps tonight as a team. You guys have been dominant, but, man, a win here, get yourself locked into the next round would be huge. So what's going to be the game plan here to try to hold on to it, this crazy overtime finish we're about to see?
Yeah, man, just go all out and see what happens. You know, I'm running on fumes, and I got to get on this win because road courses are not my thing.
Well, putting the fuel situation aside here, I'm assuming you'd probably be a good here if we can get it done on this overtime. You're going to have a teammate behind you and a teammate to the inside of you. How do you kind of go about doing that? Do you guys try to control both lanes, or do you try to get all 3 of you in one lane?
I think at this point we're going to have to try to control both lanes and just shoot it out.
All right, sounds good. Hey, running on fumes. Thanks for letting us know that, by the way. But we'll see if you can stretch it and see if you can hold on. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
And taking a look here as we move Danny back down to his team. Interesting. Said they're running on fumes. I thought these guys would have been good to go for guaranteed 1 overtime, maybe 2. But it's going to be interesting how that shuffles up the fuel strategy. The other guy I want to see if we can get a quick word from right here is go back a little bit further in the field. Jeff Marble and Tyler Marble, they're going to be starting really close to each other. See if they have a strategy here on how they're going to get to the front. Hey, Jeff, this is all up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Austin, how are you?
Good. Well, you're getting ready to go green here. Now, we see the caution come out, which is going to cause for a pretty crazy finish right here. You're going to be right in the middle of the chaos here. How do you get with your teammates to get to the front?
Yeah, right before we formed up here, double file, I was just keying to Mike, and I'm like, man, I wish I was behind you, Brian, because we're going to push this bad boy up to the front. And unfortunately, we're side by side. So, but we'll do the best we can here and just mind our P's and Q's and just try to have a good points day.
Well, speaking of points, we know that all of a sudden a crazy finish or wreck at the end could mess things up. But what I want to ask you with that is, how's the fuel situation looking? Looks like we heard from one of the leaders that they're running on fumes.
We might be in the same boat.
All right. Well, hey, overtime number 1. We'll see if we can get it done right here. Thanks for talking to us, Jeff. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Jeff Marble said what, it's a strategy for both teams right now. Team Marble iRacing and JBR E-Racing, they're both trying to push a teammate to the win here to get all 3. Well, in Team Marble iRacing's case, all 3. And in JBR E-Racing's case, both of teammates into the next round. To do that, only one can prevail. It would have to either be Danny Gutierrez or Brian Conklin. Who's it going to be? Keep an eye on both of those cars. Gutierrez is leading the inside. Brian Conklin is 4 rows back on the inside. 4th caution getting wrapped up for the night. First overtime, it's going to be 2 laps. If we make it to the white flag, this race will be official. However, if we get a caution, we'll rack them up, try it again, and fuel, as close as it is, could be a factor. Keep an eye on it. Here we go. Overtime number 1, green flag is back in the air at Talladega. Big checkup out back. The stack up gets itself sorted out, causes a lot of guys to have to check up, but nobody wrecks from it. Back up front, it was an even jump for the first 2 rows. Already some shuffling towards the back. Danny Gutierrez controlling the bottom. Joshua Watson is going to have to do everything in his power to control the top. The rookie, Adrian Watts, giving his teammate a big push on the bottom, trying to hold him even. Watson doing everything in his power to hold Kaltenbach back, but Kaltenbach is giving a huge push to that 0-1 car right now. Gutierrez starts to surge out in front. Brian Conklin still trapped. Hasn't been able to go anywhere yet. The middle line starts to open up, but no one takes it yet. Up top, Joshua Watson gets clear. We'll see if he drops down in front of his teammate. Not going to. Still tried everything. It's not going to work. Up the track goes the 0-1. He's trying to save it. Back down into traffic. Kaltenbach gets turned. Back into the wall. Joshua Watson hard into the inside wall. This is going to be the big one as they all wreck behind him. McCallchuck's in it. Jared Bundy wrecks. Down on the apron, we got more trouble. Trying to find who all was involved in this one. And there's Bundy still spun around. Kaltenbach was able to get back rolling. Tyler's got damage. And Joshua Watson took the biggest hit out of all of them. And I think that is going to bring the JBR E-Racing drivers' night to an end, as he might be trying to get that thing fired. Whatever the case is, it is not moving. He is going to go ahead and just tow it. On to the pits he goes. Let's take a look at this one. Joshua Watson doing everything in his power to try to hold off the 2. Let's take a ride on board first here with Joshua. And hard to tell there. Take another listen here. Actually, let's compare 2 things here real quick. First, we'll go up to your leader, Danny Gutierrez. They both had a similar run. And then back that up a little bit further. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell from up here in the booth. It's hard to say. I mean, Sean was giving him certainly a massive push. Not sure if maybe Josh was just slightly trying to drag the brake just to slow the run up. Or again, if Kaltenbach just had too big of a run and maybe got slightly offset. Let's see if the chopper cam gives us a better view. So you see Kaltenbach get a little offset. And it looks like Watson saves it. Another push, and I tell you, that was an odd look. It looked like Kaltenbach got him pretty square. The push definitely didn't look terrible. And watch, it looks pretty square, but it just sends him around. There it is, and yeah, it just sends Watson down. Watson saves it initially. Kaltenbach somehow checks up for him, but they both do a phenomenal job. And then Josh gets up into the wall he was trying to keep it out of, and then the wall bounces him off a little bit. He's going to come back down into traffic. That's where he hooks Kaltenbach. That sends Sean back up into that outside wall. He takes a pretty good hit. Gets steamrolled by, I believe that was, Austin Fitzgerald, who had nowhere to go. And then watch this hit for Joshua Watson. Boom. Scott Glasso takes a good hit to the rear end on the inside wall as well, and they all finish wrecking up in the tri-oval. And so looking at the replay on that one, it looks more or less just like not a bad push, just again, aggressive pushing here at the end, and it really didn't look like Sean was doing anything wrong. And in Josh's defense, didn't look like he was really doing anything wrong, just two guys really going for it at the end, and fortunately it didn't work out for either of them. Let's take a couple more views. Here's one from the wall cam. That inside wall here at Talladega has a way of finding you pretty quick. TV follow. Yeah, it's going to end Kaltenbach's night. Did not realize just how big that hit was until we took another look at it. And man, oh man, going to send us into our second overtime and definitely going to change some strategy in terms of fuel. And you see that right here. Adrian Watts, your new leader. Brandon Bikey in second. Brian Conklin back in third. Jeff Marble in fourth. Kyle Oakley fifth. Austin Fitzgerald sixth. Cody Richardson seventh. Andrew Kotska eighth. Bill Benedict ninth. And Jeffrey Souza rounding out your top 10. There's Danny Gutierrez, leader just before the caution, but unfortunately had to come in for fuel. It's not over, but he's going to have a lot more work to do now to try to get back to the front. And I think now all of a sudden the tides have turned. I think Team Marble iRacing's in the best position here to try to get their guy a win in terms of Brian Conklin. Jeff Marble going to try to push that 37 if he can. Only thing hindering them now is the fact that they're going to line up side by side. I want to thank everybody again that's came out here tonight to watch these guys go at it, the fastest track in NASCAR. Still on the road to 1,000 subs. I'm not sure where we're at right now. I think it's 900, low 900s, but it's the goal mark. So if you have anybody that you know that you figure might enjoy it, tell them to watch it. If they like what they see or you like what you see for that matter, feel free to give us a sub or a thumbs up, anything to let us know that you're enjoying the content. And again, talked about second overtime right here. We have a total of 3 if we were to need all of them. But I'm thinking that wreck might have been the last one these guys had to get out of their system, at least until the white flag lap, and that's a whole nother beast to tame. But Adrian Watts here, looking for his first win of the season. Bikey in a position here to get a win. But Brian Conklin is the guy that needs it the most out of everyone in your top 4. And you know he's going to do everything in his power to get it right here. He's come so close so many times throughout the season at varying tracks. Just hasn't worked out. But tonight could potentially be the night. We'll see how Jeff Marble finds a way to orchestrate it to get his teammate with him. And looking at Kaltenbach, Joshua Watson still sitting on the pits. Looks like he has officially put his night to an end. And then Sean Kaltenbach somehow back out on track with the damage he has. I'm actually pretty amazed by that. I mean, look at this car. This thing is destroyed. Looks similar to his Kansas win. You know what? So who knows? Maybe the 2-car finds a way to get in victory lane. He did it at Kansas with similar damage. Talladega, definitely a more aerodynamic track, and he's missing an entire right front fender. I don't know how well that thing's going to handle. All right, working our way out of turn 4 here. Potentially for the final time under caution. Tyler Marble in the back. Had pretty good damage. Not sure how much of it he got repaired, but we'll see if he can get up here to try to help his teammates. And which lane is going to have more momentum? Conklin's going to push for all he's worth. Jeff Marble's going to push for all he's worth. And we are going to crown a winner here. Either this restart or if we need one more. Overtime number 2 here at Talladega. 2 laps. If we can make it to the white, it will be official. Back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. A lot smoother start, it looks like out back. Checkup's not nearly as bad. This is going to keep the field closer together. It's a big jump, though, for the inside line. Did Adrian Watts maybe get a little too far ahead? Brian Conklin trying right now to see if he can get clear of the 13. Jeff Marble, though, going to get there for a push. The 37 now starts to fade. Kyle Oakley, he got back into the mix. He is now in fourth. Look for that 17. Maybe he's the first guy to look to the middle for a win. Watts going to have to block back down low. Bikey still leading the top line. Jeff Marble looking for a push. Danny Gutierrez to the middle. There's going to be contact. Another wreck. Around goes to 48, but to the inside. Couldn't tell who it was. And another big wreck up in turn 3. Richard Elliott's involved in this one. So is Cody Matthews. Did Danny Gutierrez get through? It looks like he did, and it doesn't look like the damage is too bad for the 08. So we will go to our third and final overtime. Back and take a look at what brings out the caution. And it looked to me initially like Danny had got to the inside. And I believe that's going to be the 47 of Andrew Kotska. Sure enough. Let's go up to Danny Gutierrez through this, though. All right, here you go. Keep an eye on the 08 here. He's going to jump to the middle. I think he knows it's go time. And once he gets to the middle here, it's a little tight. They start to separate. And that looks like, yeah, it's a little bit of net code. You saw those two never actually made contact. They were close, but both holding straight lines, never touched. And the net code sends the 47 of Kotska down into Bill Benedict, who gets turned around. Kotska's going to shoot to the inside wall here. And then everyone trying to miss it. Tyler Marble gets involved. Souza barely sneaks by it. And let's show the right rear view here, the right front rather, for Gutierrez. Watch this. You won't see contact here. That's because there never was any. That little bit of net code where the game thinks they're going to hit each other. And now you see contact, of course, here, but of course you see the 47 had already broke sideways by then. And watch this. He's straight, he's straight, he's straight, he's straight. The game right there thinks that they make contact, turns the 47 down, and it's on from there. Everybody just trying to find a way through it. The out back view for Danny Gutierrez. Not a pretty one, but I know he was glad to see it behind him as Kaltenbach sneaks through it for the most part, as they all go around and wreck hard behind him. Tyler Marble involved in this one. His night went from good earlier to pretty bad pretty quick, and things just getting worse from this point. Take a look from the wall cam. As they all come to a grinding halt. Richard Elliott was looking to go up there and try to help his teammate. He's going to get some damage. Ooh, got clobbered right there in the left rear by Bill Benedict. Might have broke the suspension. Give you one final shot of it here from TV6. And it does not take much here. Saw Benedict's car get a little bit light when he got turned around, but I think his damage was too bad. As we go back up front, though, Adrian Watts still being scored as your leader. Brandon Bikey in second. Brian Conklin still third. Kyle Oakley fourth. Great comeback for Kyle Oakley, by the way. I mean, doing a phenomenal job here late. Talked about he was one of the guys that had needed a caution to get back up here. That's exactly what he got. And running fourth, he's going to be the lead pusher and have a great shot of potentially going for his first win of the season here tonight. Jeff Marble just behind him in sixth. Is actually fifth, excuse me. Looks like Kyle and Conklin are going to switch positions for now. So Jeff Marble being scored in sixth, Richardson in seventh. Danny Gutierrez in eighth. Still got a lot of work to do, but it could be potentially done here. He's going to have a miracle of the last 2 laps. And what he doesn't need is a caution. Souza in ninth and Jared Bundy rounding out your top 10. Could Adrian Watts get the job done? Supposed to be our last commercial on the last one, but the 2 cautions ran out of material to talk about, so I'm going to take a quick drink of water. I'm going to need it for these final 2 laps. Stick with us. We'll be right back for the final overtime at Talladega. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway, getting ready for the final overtime. Row 1, Watts and Bikey. Who is going to win it at Talladega? Green flag is back in the air. Watts off to a great start here. Does he jump to the outside? Oakley gets a good push right off the get-go. He's going to try to bring Bikey back to even. The 03 trying to pull away down into turn 1. Jeff Marble has gotten Brian Conklin clear. Now he's going to try to get both of them clear. What will end it? The caution, or will we make it to the white flag? There goes the Team Model iRacing drivers. Both of them to the top. Conklin out to the lead. Going to try to hold on here for the next lap and a half as Bikey dives low. He might have an issue as he jumps to the apron. I think he might be out of fuel. Sure enough, he is up front. The two Team Model iRacing drivers starting to pull away. Don't count out Danny Gutierrez. Here comes Kyle Oakley on the bottom with the push from the 08 car, working our way out of turn 4 to see the white flag. Looks like that's Bikey and somebody else going to pull to the bottom out of fuel. Tyler Marble to the bottom. Jeff Marble, though, now laying it to the back bumper of his teammate. White flag is in the air. One more lap to go at Talladega. Can Conklin hold on for his first win of the season and a chance to lock himself into the playoffs? They continue to race 3 wide out back, and the two Team Marble guys continue to pull away. Down the backstretch for the final time now. 2 of the JBR E-Racing guys have gotten locked up on the top, but on the bottom, Cody Richardson and Scott Glasso continue to push. I don't think anybody's got anything for these guys. Jeff Marble, once he got attached, he has not let off. Final set of corners as they continue to race hard out back. Gutierrez looking for any sort of position he can get, but up front, out of turn 4 for the final time. The rest of the pack still in chase. Jeff Marble had to bail off, but they're not going to have enough time. Into the trial he comes. It's going to be his first win of the season, and what better time than to lock yourself into round 2. Brian Conklin wins it at Talladega. What a win and what a push from Jeff Marble. It is not often that you see a margin of victory of almost a 10th at Talladega, but the push that Brian got from Jeff through that entire overtime finish is probably the best push we have seen all year from somebody at a super speedway. He got locked on and never backed off. Also gives Team Marble a 1-2 finish. Cody Richardson rounding off the podium. Oakley brings home a 4th, and Bill Benedict recovers to a top 5 finish. And you know Jeff's excited about that one. That's what you like to see right there. That's a heck of a teammate right there. Pushed his guy to the win. And you know what? A lot of guys, every single one of these guys has it in their heart that they want to race at the end of the day. And if Jeff really wanted to, he could have gave his teammate a hard time there to jump out and race him for it. But when you're a team such as what we had here, that's what you do. And I wonder if Brian's actually out of fuel. Starting to look that way. So let's right on board. I think Brian is indeed out of fuel, or maybe just has just enough for a little bit of a burnout right here. He brings it around. Jeff's going to back off of him. We'll see. Does the 37 have anything left, or are they just going to park it for a 1-2 finish on the start-finish line? Man, oh man, did not mean to pull that up. And he is going to park it. I don't think he's got enough left to do a burnout. Ran that thing for everything it had in those last 2 laps. Taking a look at your finishing results here for the night then. Conklin gets the win, and we will get to see him now in the round of 8. Jeff Marble brings home 2nd, pushing his teammate to victory. Cody Richardson in 3rd. Kyle Oakley finishes up 4th. Bill Benedict in 5th. Austin Fitzgerald in 6th. Danny Gutierrez in 7th. Adrian Watson 8th. Scott Glasso 9th. Jeffrey Souza in 10th. Andrew Kotska 11th. Brandon Bikey in 12th. Tyler Marble in 13th. Back in 14th. Jared Bundy. Alan Pajari in 15th. Sean Kaltenbach finishes up in 16th. Christopher Hall in 17th. Glenn Grigsby in 18th. Richard Elliott 19th. Dave Sanders in 20th. 21st, Jeff Shutt. 22nd, Johnny McCulchuk. 23rd, Joshua Watson. 24th, Cody Matthews. 25th, Todd Shiro. 26th, Andrew Niedert. 27th, Thomas O'Hara. 28th is going to be Andrew Russo. 29th, Jacob Musso. And rounding out the field tonight in 30th, Brian Curry. First car to be eliminated. All right, we're going to go get your top 3 for interviews. We'll be right back. Stick with us. All right, and we are live first with third place finisher Cody Richardson. Cody, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you, man.
All right, well, you bring home a podium and a crazy last lap. Talked about you earlier in the race. I feel like as we got to the middle portion of the playoff here, at least through the round of 12, you kind of started to become a little bit of a sleeper pick. We knew the speed was there. We were just waiting to see it. Boy, we saw it tonight with the great-looking paint scheme. Tell us about your night, and, man, tell us about that crazy last lap that we saw.
Hey, shake and bake, Cal! Woo! Shake and bake!
Hey, I'm just glad that we were able to get these paint schemes out here. We've been running them all week long. It was really fun, Andrew and I. We were just kind of saving fuel there at the beginning of the race. We knew that if we could save a little bit, be a little quicker on those pit stops. Andrew got up to us there. He made that second group work, caught back up with us there with about 15-20 to go. We decided to make a run on the bottom, and we're hoping it was just going to stay green. I don't know what happened. I know he got underneath the car that was pushing me. We were trying to get lined up, and I don't know if there was some net code or if he cleared himself or what, but caution came out, and then everything went crazy after that. I think we would have been happier with just going green. I said we were points racing. We just wanted to get through this. We're really good at the road courses and everything. Just wanted to get through this week as unscathed as we possibly could to get us both through to the next round. Looking forward to next week as well. I think with this P3 and his, I think P11's where he ended up, we should be good, have a good buffer going into the Roval. But anything can happen there too. One wrong look at the wall and you're busting a toe link.
And I would completely agree. A great run there to the finish. And yeah, I was going to say, just looking at points now, 5th, good night tonight. Looking like it's going to be a punch ticket to the round 8. But we'll have to see you next week. Before we let you go though tonight, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, hey, thank you up here at Ghost Racing Network putting this on every week. Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist and FastTrack putting this series on. It's been a great series all season long. Not looking forward to it ending. I want to thank everybody at Mad Sim Racing, Mad Spartan Sim Racing for this setup build and everything. Dave Fugue Jr. and the team working on all these things, trying to come out here, take these to the big setup shop guys. Small group of guys trying to make things work, starting to figure some stuff out here at the right time. Usually they're on the call, but Pro Kart Concepts, all our sponsors over at Mad Sim Racing as well, you know who they are. And I want to say a special thanks to our teammate Andrew Kotska, Jerry Isaacs for doing our spotting tonight. Andrew out there on the track, obviously. Dave Sanders as well, had some unfortunate internet problems. And also check out madsimracing.com and intotheapex.com. New podcasts almost every week.
All right, well, thanks for talking to us, Cody. Congrats again on that 3rd place finish, and we'll see you next week at the Roval.
Well, I hope to be talking to you again next week as well.
All right, sounds like a plan. Going to bring in now your 2nd place finish, Jeff Marble. Jeff, this is also up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir, Austin. How are you?
I'm great. Well, you go 1-2, man. You executed it absolutely perfectly. Talked about, I've seen a lot of pushing at super speedways, but that push that you gave to Brian Conklin from the start of that final overtime to the checkered flag was probably one of the best I've ever seen. How do you get that locked onto a car for that long? And how did you manage to get your teammate in position throughout the duration of the whole race to get him a win at the end?
Well, you can't push like you used to push before. I mean, with the old tandem drafting, you were able to pull out like a second easily. But I think iRacing did something to the draft model and kind of changed that. But now I kind of learned a little something. I ain't going to say what it is, but I felt like I learned something where I'm able to keep the momentum up without it losing speed. Because now you latch onto somebody, you literally lose speed. But you have to just find that fine line and able to keep that momentum and miles per hour up. In regards to the last restart, yeah, we just got a good start, and I think Bikey may have been asleep at the wheel there, or I don't know, but we just got a nice start, and I told Brian, as soon as I am clear from Bikey, go up to the top, and we're going to stay up there. And as soon as I got clear, I yelled clear, and we both went up there, and that would the 77, and I don't know who was behind them, got a massive run. I'm like, oh no, and I thought about blocking that lane. But I just stayed latched on to Brian, and we were able to bring it home. And previous to that, we did so much fuel saving. I'm like, I almost wanted to tell Brian, go down pit road and just top it off, because you're not going to make it to the end on the third green white checkered. I got overruled by Tyler, and I'm glad Brian listened to Tyler. And man, brought home his first ever FastTrack Cup Series win. I'm proud of him. He carries the league colors, Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist. Man, he's on cloud 9, I'm sure.
Well, it was a great night for Brian Conklin and, of course, you as well. Looking like both of you should have your ticket all but punched now to the round of 8. We'll see if Tyler can hold on as well next week. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, again, Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist, Ghost Racing Network, Capital Auto Group, Butt Kicker, SimRacerHub.com, Fast Eddie's Hot Rods out of Cato, New York, iRacingIFlag.com. I'm sure I already said Ghost Racing Network. Yeah, I like you do a fantastic job for us, and unfortunately we gave you a pretty sloppy race there in the beginning, but at least we were able to get some green flag pit stops to make up for it. I know some of the league members did not want to see that yellow come out because, you know, cautions breed cautions, and that's exactly what happened with three green white checkers. So yeah, we're off to the Roval next week, and let's see if we can't get that 48 into victory lane.
All right, sounds like a plan. Thanks for talking to us, Jeff. Congrats on that second place finish.
Thank you, Austin.
And now we are going to bring in the man of the hour, Brian Conklin. Brian, this is Austin at the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Austin, I finally got me one.
It's been a long time coming, but you are the man tonight. You get your first win in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series, and it comes at all but the hardest track to win it at, Talladega Superspeedway. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm lost for words. I've been wanting to win ever since I've been doing this with Jeff and Tyler, and finally to get a Cup Series win is just awesome.
Well, I mean, you had to play so many cards right at the end of the race between fuel, making up the position that you had to be in that position towards the end, and then that final 2 laps where Jeff was stuck to your bumper. I mean, how did you manage to hang on to that thing?
I didn't even feel a thing. I knew he was there. I have trust in him that he was going to, not turn me. So just the guidance of him in my ear, it worked out.
One of the advantages you gain of winning here in the round of 12 before we get to the final race is you're already locked into the next round. So with that in mind, do you look ahead to maybe a track like Las Vegas or Homestead and start practicing there now? Or do you just focus on next week, try to get another win at Charlotte?
Oh, most definitely. I'm going to be looking at Vegas or Homestead, somewhere there. I'm going to try to go have fun next week, knowing that I'm in. There's a lot better guys on that type of racing, so I'll get them in 2 weeks.
Well, you told me a little bit back you felt like you had enough for the guys to make it to the round of 8. At this rate, looked like you might have enough for the final 4. Keep it up. Congrats on the win. Before we let you go, though, Brian, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out tonight?
Oh, yeah, I want to thank my teammates, just constantly coaching me through this. They're just great. FastTrack Sim Racing League, Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist of Richmond. I got to throw that out. That's my main hometown. That's the business I work for. Butt Kicker, Sim Racer Hub, Capital Auto Group. You up there in the booth at Ghost Racing Network, and Fast Eddie's, all these guys.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us. And again, big congrats on your first win, Brian. We'll see you next week at Charlotte.
Thank you.
All right. What a way to get your first win at Talladega Superspeedway off the bumper of a teammate. Brian Conklin, your winner at Talladega, will be back next week for the final race in the round of 12. It's the Charlotte Roval. It's going to be just as crazy, but in a different form. Make sure you come check it out. Appreciate everybody that came in, tuned out tonight. I hope you all did enjoy, and we will see you next week. Have a good night.